everybody, it's Sarah and it is April 2023, which means it is time for the r/fantasy bingo. I actually managed to finish my bingo last year. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do like a wrap-up video. Tell me in the comments down below if you're interested in that. But aside from the bingo of last year, this year I managed to start on time. I actually have already finished a book of this bingo already. But yeah, let's go through the 25 books that I intend to finish between April 2023 and March of 2024. For those of you who don't know, the r/fantasy bingo is basically just a bingo board that is published on the r/fantasy Reddit that starts on the 1st of April each year, ends on the 31st of March in the next year, and it's all about reading science fiction and fantasy and kind of pushing you out of your comfort zone. There aren't many rules, but there are a few rules for that bingo. One of the rules is that you're not allowed to choose an author twice. Another rule is that you're only allowed one reread because it's supposed to push us to read new things. And then the third rule is that you can swap one of the prompts with one of the prompts from a previous bingo. And I think that's all of the main rules from the r/fantasy bingo. Aside from that, you also always have a hard mode for each prompt, which this year I did not try to get hard mode for each book. Last year I kind of did try to do that. And also something that I tried last year while picking my TBR that I didn't do this year is last year I tried to have half of my books be by BIPOC authors and half of the books be queer. I did not do that this year because this year I tried to fill my TBR as much as possible with books that I either already own or that I could get from my library. And the books for whom neither of these is true are books that I know I will get this year anyway. So, you know, I kind of already put them on my physical TBR. So yeah, anyway, let's get into it because we have 25 books to get through. By the way, I have my laptop down here, so if I'm looking down a lot, it's because I am reading the prompts because I will not be remembering the prompts. But the first one was title with a title. Read a book in which the novel title contains a job title, military title, or title of nobility, such as locksmith, lieutenant, or lieutenant, or lord. This title can be something that is bestowed upon a character, such as hero, and it can include fictional titles that are only in the setting, such as Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. Hard mode is not a title of royalty. And for this one, I actually do already have hard mode because the book that I chose for this one, let me get it from back here, is... Nope, that's the wrong one. This one. I have Master of Sorrows by Justin T. Call. Master obviously is a title, and so I don't necessarily know a lot about this. I have this, or I own this, because this was one of my 12 books by 12 friends for 2023. Cleo already told me to read it in 2022, and so when she told me to read it again this year, I decided that I'm gonna buy it right away because I actually have been meaning to read this for a while. But as I said, I don't know a lot about this. I think the little that I know about it is that it's supposed to be a villain origin story, and that a lot of people are very confused by it because so far the main character is like the biggest cinnamon roll ever. And the series, I don't remember what the series is called, but yeah, I think it's gonna be 4 books in total once it's done, and there's 2 books out so far. I'm just very excited to get to this. The second prompt was superhero. Story focuses on superpowered individuals, you know, heroes and villains and capes. Hard mode was not related to DC and Marvel. However, this was the prompt that I decided to swap out because I could not find a book that I was interested in that would fit this prompt, and I swapped it out with a prompt from, I think, 2021, which is to read a book set in an Asian setting, so either in Asia within our world or in an Asian inspired setting. And hard mode was to read a book by an Asian author. And so for this one, I chose The Speaking Bones by Ken Liu. I'm holding this the wrong way around. The Speaking Bones by Ken Liu, which is the 4th and last book in the Dandelion Dynasty. I am not quite sure if I got hard mode with this, because if I see Asian author, written by an Asian author, the way I would interpret it is an author either living in Asia or born in Asia. However, Can Liu, if I remember correctly, is Asian American. However, Asian author could also mean, you know, anyone with Asian heritage. So I don't know, you tell me if I got hard mode with this one or not. So this series is a political fantasy series starting with The Grace of Kings, and in The Grace of Kings basically you follow two very different characters, and both in their own way are very fundamental to leading a rebellion against this huge empire. That is all I want to say. Overall, the series spans multiple decades. Like in this one, I think we're at least 20 if not 30 years past when the first book started, so it spans quite a long time, so I can't summarize this series properly anyway. And yeah, I'm very excited to get to this. Prompt number 3 is bottom of the TBR. Read one of the books that's been on your TBR the longest. If you do not keep a TBR, read one of the books that you have been meaning to read for the longest time but haven't yet. Hard mode, none. Actually finishing a book you've been putting off for so long is already hard enough. Now that's a call out. And for this one, I actually know which book is or has been on my TBR the longest, because pretty much all the books that I own, except for one, are books, like fiction books that I own, except for one, are books that I haven't bought earlier than 2021, because that was when I finished my TBR 0. However, there is one book that I have kept at my mom's for a pretty long time unread, and that for some reason I didn't put up here, and that I bought when I was like 17, 18, something along those lines. And that book is The Serpent Bride by Sarah Douglas, which is the first book in the Dark Glass Mountain series. And I do not know anything about this series, so I'm just gonna read you the back. The first book in a dark and remarkable epic adventure of sorcery, grim destiny, and soul-shattering peril from one of the world's most acclaimed fantasists. Rescued from unspeakable horror, Ishbeth Brunel has devoted her life to the Order of the Coil, a secret cult that reads the future in the entrails of its human sacrifices. But the serpent has loftier plans for the archpriestess and an eerie eldritch warning: prepare for the Lord of Elko falling. Perils abound in a realm beset by treachery, and above all looms the Dark Glass Mountain. Once known as the Threshold, as the terrible dark god Kanubai prepares to emerge from his prison in exile. So yeah, gonna be interested to see if it was worth it putting this off for this long. Also, this is like really heavy. It looks pretty tiny and pretty small, but it's 700 pages long. And that's it for mass market paperbacks. So prompt number 4 is actually a prompt that I have not yet filled. There's 2 of those on my board, and that is magical realism or literary fantasy. Read a book that portrays magical or unreal elements in an otherwise realistic or mundane environment. Check out this thread for further ideas and guidelines. Hard mode, not one of the 30 books in the linked thread. I first of all haven't looked at the thread yet. I want to probably read a book by Isabel Allende. I know that my mom has a few of her books, so that's why I kind of decided to not yet put a specific book on this prompt, because I just want to go and see what she has first. And if not that, there usually is at least 1 or 2 magical realism books a year that catch my eye at the bookstore, and I'm sure I'll come up with something during the year, so I'll just choose whatever for this prompt then. Prompt number 5 is young adult. Read a book that was written for young adults, hard mode, published in the last 5 years. And I once again got hard mode. I do currently have 2 Illumicrate young adult books that are on my TBR shelves that I haven't read yet. And I decided to go with The Whispering Dark by Kelly Andrew, because this one is a standalone as far as I know. I do not really know what this is about, aside from that I think it is self-pub, and I think also that our main character is disabled. I think she is blind or deaf, one or the other. I can't find it right now. But yeah, I think our main character is disabled, and so it's probably gonna be a quick read, because YA usually is a quick read, and I decided to just pick this one because I had it. So now we're in the second row across. Number 6 is mundane jobs. The protagonist has a commonplace job that can be found in the real world, so no princess or monster hunters. We are also excluding soldiers as they are already extremely prominent in SFF. Hard mode does not take place on Earth. And I was told that for this one, what's it called? A Psalm for the Wild build by Becky Chambers should work. Because I think one of the 2 characters we follow, is it like a tea monk? Whatever that is. Like a monk that makes tea? Making tea is a mundane job, right? And the second character is actually a robot. But this one is another book that's on my 12 books by 12 friends, or 12 months, 12 books by 12 friends for 2023, and I can get it from my library. I don't really know what it's about, but yeah, I just decided to go with it. Prompt number 7 is published in the 2000s. Read a book that was published between 2000 and 2009. Hard mode, not in the top 30 of r/fantasy's best of 2023 list. I actually do not know if it's in the best of 2023 list, so let's maybe look at it. I mean, it is in the list, so it's number 61. So I guess I didn't get hard mode for this one, but the book that I chose is Kushiel Skian by Jacqueline Carey, which is the first book. I think this is the first book, but I'm choosing the first book in this trilogy. It's the first book in the Imriel trilogy, which is the second trilogy within the Kushiel universe, or the Kushiel's Legacy series. In the first series, we follow Phaedra, who is a courtesan spy. She grows up as a courtesan. She is taught as a courtesan. However, she then gets taken in by a man who also teaches her and uses her as a spy, and that kind of gets her involved within the politics of her world. In the second series, we follow a different character who still is connected to Phaedra, however, but I don't want to get into it too much because that's spoilers. And yeah, I'm just really excited to finally continue on with this series. I first read the Kushiel series when I was 18, and I reread it last year, and obviously this year I have organized the Kushiel read-along, which is on the Discord of my book club. And so I will leave the book club down below if you're interested in joining us. We have so far read the first 2 books. I mean, in April we're still reading the second book, but there's still enough time to catch up if you're interested. So yeah, I'm very excited to finally continue on with this. Prompt number 8 is Angels and Demons. Story must feature angels or demons, or both, in a prominent role. Hard mode, the protagonist is an angel or demon. I don't know if I can get hard mode with this one, but I have The Library of the Unwritten by A.J. Heckwith, and the reason why I think this one covers it is because this is something to do with the Devil's Bible. So obviously there has to be something with demons in here. So I don't know exactly what it is about once again, so let me just read you the first half of the back. Every book left unfinished by its author is filed away in the Unwritten Wing, a neutral space in hell presided over by Claire, its head librarian. So, you know, she's probably a demon or something, right, if she lives in hell. Along with repairing and organizing books, her job consists of keeping an eye on restless stories whose characters risk materializing and escaping the library. So yeah, I just picked this up because it sounds really interesting, and I think I've heard good things about it, and I chose it for prompt number 8. Prompt number 9 is 5 SFF short stories. Any short SFF story, as long as there are 5 of them. Hard mode, read an entire SFF anthology or collection. And for this one, I have chosen Africa Risen, which I actually have read quite a few of these short stories already to cover the same prompt in the bingo last year, and I didn't get done with the book, so you know, I'm just gonna continue on reading them, and I'm gonna cover some more prompts with that one. Although obviously I can't get hard mode with this anymore because I've read about a third of the book already. I think it's like over 30 short stories, and I've read 12 or 13 of them so far. Number 10 is horror. Read a book from the horror genre. Hard mode, not Stephen King or H.P. Lovecraft. I did get hard mode with this one because I decided to read Ringshot by Pete J. Lee Clarke. I already know that I really like Pete J. Lee Clarke's writing because I've read, not A Master of Jinn, what's it called? It's called The Master of Jinn. I thought A Master of Jinn was the short story for some reason. Right, there was that Jinn in Cairo, but I've read A Master of Jinn. I really enjoyed it. So I want to read his horror novella. I believe it's quite a short story. Like, I don't think it's a full-length book, but I think it might be a little bit longer than a novella. And as far as I know, it's about clan members literally being monsters. So yeah, and like kind of playing with that a little bit. But I don't know that much more, and to be honest, I don't want to know that much more. Prompt number 11 is self-pub or indie pub, self-published or published through a small indie publisher. If the novel has been picked up by a publisher, it only counts for this challenge if you read it when it was still self-published, hard mode, self-published, and has fewer than 100 ratings on Goodreads, or an indie publisher that has done an AMA with r/fantasy. And for this one, I'm gonna do A Wizard's Dream, I think it's called. Yeah, it's A Wizard's Dream by, I forgot the author name. I was given an e-arc of this. It has so far already come out because I haven't gotten around to reading this. And this has like 6 ratings on Goodreads, so you know, I definitely get hard mode with this one. I don't really know that much what it's about, except that it has like living nature, like, or a nature with souls a little bit. So yeah, gonna be very interesting to see what it actually is about. Prompt number 12 is set in the Middle East or Middle Eastern SFF. Read a book that is set in the Middle East or in an analogous setting that is based on real-world Middle Eastern settings, myths and culture. And the hard mode is author is of Middle Eastern heritage. And I actually did look up which countries exactly are counted as being part of the Middle East, because I wasn't sure if Northern Africa is counted as part of the Middle East, because obviously you have Swana countries, which is Southwest Asian and Northern African countries, but I don't know if that's, you know, if that's the same as saying a country is part of the Middle East. But the book that I wanted to do was actually part of both. So I'm going to read The Daughters of Istihar by Hadia El-Spy, which is the first book in a new duology, which is called the Al-Maqsa duology. And according to Wikipedia, like, Egypt is the one Northern African country that's counted as part of the Middle East, and this is either set in Egypt or it's set in a world that is inspired by Egypt, because the author is actually Egyptian American. So she was born in America but grew up between Egypt and America both. So I once again got hard mode with this one as well. I do not know exactly what this is about, except that it's about a bunch of women trying to take back their power, I think, or take back power in their country, and it's also queer, and I am very excited for this. This is also the buddy read for my book club this month, and since I didn't say what my book club was earlier, my book club is of Queens, Witches and Valkyries, and the book club is all about reading adult high fantasy written by women and genderqueer people. And yeah, as I said, in April we're reading The Daughters of Istihar, so it's the same Discord link as the Crucial read along, but if you're interested in either of those, the link is down below. Prompt number 14, multiverse or alternate realities. Read a book in which the setting contains at least 2 universes, dimension, planes, realities, etc. that characters within the book can travel between. Multiple worlds in the same physical plane of existence, such as planets within a universe, would not count for this square. Hard mode, the characters do not walk through a literal door in order to get to another world. I don't actually remember if I got hard mode with this one or not, but I decided to go with The Stolen Heir by Holly Black, because obviously you have fairy, but then you also have our world, which I would say is like 2 different planes of existence, because, you know, the fairy kind of exists within but under our world somehow. It's hard to explain the concept of fairy, to be honest. And this is the first book in, I think it's the first book in a new series set within the world of The Folk of the Air by Holly Black. And yeah, I have already started reading this one. Prompt number 15 is POC author. Author must be a person of color. Hard mode, novel takes place in a futuristic sci-fi world. And for this one, I didn't get hard mode because I went with fantasy, because obviously I'm not reading a lot of science fiction. But I went with the first binding by R.R. Verdi, who is a South Asian author. I don't remember if he's South Asian American or if he's South Asian, to be honest. But this is the first in a new series that I don't know how many books it is, and I also don't know much about this series once again, because I like going into my books blind. But let me just read you a little bit from the back. All legends are born of truths and just as much as lies. These are mine. Judge me for what you will, but you will hear my story first. And if I remember correctly, this is also kind of inspired by The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. Or not inspired, but you know, influenced by. 2 more rows left. Number 16 is the prompt that I have open so far, which is book club or read along, which kind of is talking about r/fantasy book clubs or read alongs, but I am not part of any r/fantasy book clubs. And I'm not interested in being part of any r/fantasy book clubs, because aside from the bingo, I really hate Reddit for fantasy stuff because all the uncomfortable people are there. So I'm just gonna choose any book from a book club, whichever I want for this prompt, to be honest. Prompt number 17 is the prompt that I did already finish, and that is a novella. Read a work of fiction between 17,500 and 40,000 words. Hard mode. Novella is not published by Tor.com Publishing. I did not get hard mode for this one. This is also the prompt that I have already finished, because I chose Untethered Sky by Fonda Lee for this one. This is about a girl who just terribly wants to become a rookar. So she wants to be someone to fly a rock, which is basically this huge bird of prey from Middle Eastern mythology, Persian Middle Eastern mythology, I think. And yeah, I read it already, I really enjoyed it, but you'll get to hear more about it once I have my wrap. Number 18 is Mythical Beasts. Read a book that prominently features at least one mythical beast, meaning a creature that doesn't exist in reality. Hard mode, no dragons or dragon-like creatures, e.g. wyverns, dracus, Kingkiller, etc. For this one I have Children of the Serpent Gate by Sarah Ash, which is the 3rd book in the Tears of Artemis. And the creature that makes this eligible for this prompt is the so-called Dracone, which is like a demon that possesses one of the characters. Even though it's called a Dracone, I don't think it counts as a dragon or dragon-like creature, because it's more a demon/vampire. So I'm gonna count hard mode for this one. Number 19 is Elemental Magic. Read a book that has elemental magic. The primary magic within the world deals with the classical elements: earth, wind, air, water, and fire. Hard mode, not V. Schwab's Shade of Magic series or Jim Butcher's Codex Alera series. And for this one I chose The Children of Gods and Fighting Men by Shauna Lawless, because one of the main characters has fire magic. I do not know if that counts as it being the main magic system within this world, because I haven't read this series yet, obviously, but I'm still gonna count it regular, because, you know, one of our main characters has fire magic. And I don't know that much about this one once again. However, this is a historical fantasy set in Ireland in the 10th century after the Vikings, I think. And it also deals with the Tuatha De Danann, which is, you know, kind of like a fantastical people from Irish mythology. So yeah, I'm very excited to get to this. Also, I love the covers of these books, and I love the titles of the books as well. Like Children of Gods and Fighting Men is an amazing title already, and I think the 2nd book is called something along the lines of The Words of Prophets and Kings. So yeah, I really like it. Prompt number 20 is Myths and Retellings. Read a book that is based on a myth or pre-existing story. Hard mode, not Greek or Roman mythology. This is so far the 1st book on this list that I don't have on my physical TBR, but I also can't get from the library. And that is Blue Salt Road, or that I don't want from the library, I guess. Blue Salt Road by Joanne M. Harris. This is one in a series of books that are inspired by the Child Ballads, so I'm just gonna count it as being based on a pre-existing story or ballad or whatever. I guess I could also count, or could have also counted, Children of Gods and Dying Men, but you know, I finally want to get to Blue Salt Road because it's the last one in the series that I still haven't read of modern fairy tales, and I really want to finally read it. And then the last row, prompt number 21, is a queer norm setting, a book set in a world where queerness is normalized, accepted, and prevalent within communities. Characters are not othered, ostracized, or particularly remarkable in any way for their queerness. Hard mode is not a futuristic setting. It takes place in a time akin to ours, in the past, or in a fantasy world that has no science fiction elements. And for this one, I am choosing Labyrinth Heart by M.A. Carrick, which is the third book in the Rook and Rose series. That series follows a con woman who just finally wants to lead a comfortable life, and so she's trying to pull off her final con yet, and tries to con her way into a noble family. Aside from that, you also have a bunch of other characters. You have some crime lords, you have a masked vigilante, and in the back of it all are children going missing and a city, or the fate of a city, at stake. This is very queer normative. It's like one of the most queer normative worlds that I have ever read about, where queerness is just built into the world building. It's not just that characters aren't ostracized for being queer, but queerness is thought about when the world building was created. So that's why I had to go with this one. Prompt number 22 is coastal or island setting. Story features a major setting that is near or surrounded by the sea. Hard mode, the book also features seafaring, and for this one I chose The Drowning Empire by Andrea Stewart. I mean, it's already called The Drowning Empire. I mean, I chose the Bone Shard Emperor, so the second book in the Drowning Empire, which is set in this world where you just have a bunch of islands, or this country is just made up of a bunch of islands. And I do think I get hard mode with this one because at least one of the characters regularly travels the seas. Number 24 is a book featuring robots. Read a book that features robots, androids, clockwork machines, or automatons. Hard mode, robot is the protagonist, and I got that with this one as well because I decided to go with the first book in the Murderbot series by Martha Wells, which is All Systems Red, and obviously the main character is Murderbot, and I don't really know anything more about this series, to be honest, so that's all I can say. And then the last prompt is sequel. Read a book that is a sequel to another SFF book. Hard mode, book 3 or on in the series. And for this one I do have hard mode because I have The Queen's Price by Anne Bishop, which is book 12, I think, in the Black Jewel series, which obviously is one of my old nostalgia favorite series, and it's the book by Anne Bishop that came out this year. And I just realized that I must have forgotten, I forgot actually 2 prompts. So yeah, let's see where I forgot the prompts though. Okay, so I forgot prompt number 13, which was published in 2023, a book published for the first time in 2023, no reprints or new editions. Hard mode, it is also a debut novel. I do not have hard mode, but I have The Endless Song by Joshua Philip Johnson, which is the second book to the Forever Sea, which is set in this world where you just have this big prairie of grass that is just really, really deep, and above that grass you have ships sailing with something called Hearthfire. And our main character is a Hearthfire keeper, so she's one of the people who makes it possible for these ships to sail above the grass sea, and you follow her as she tries to find her grandmother. And then I also forgot prompt number 23, which is Druids, a book that heavily features druids. This can be a classic druid, a priest or magician in Celtic lore, or a magic user whose powers stem from nature. Hard mode, Not the Iron Druid Chronicles by Kevin Hearn. And for this one I also got hard mode because I chose Dreamer's Pool by Juliet Merrilee, which is the first book in the Blackthorn and Grimm novels. And I forgot what that series is about, but it's Juliet Merrilee, who is one of my old favorite authors, and I haven't read a new book by her, or new to me book by her, in a long time. And when I saw that I could get this for €4 from my used bookstore, I just grabbed it. And so I'm going to read it. And yeah, that was it for my r/fantasy bingo 2023 TBR. Tell me in the comments down below, which of the books are you most excited for to hear my opinion on? Also, if you're interested in buddy reading any of the books, as always with all of my TBRs, I'm always up for buddy reads. Just tell me in the comments or tell me on Twitter or wherever. And also, if you enjoyed this video, what do you think about it? Give me a thumbs up, and also maybe subscribing. All the links to my social media as well as to my book club are linked in the description box down below, so go and check those out. And I hope I'll see you very soon. Bye!